Hi everybody, it's me, MJ. I think I reversed the front camera because I was doing some experiments. Good evening, Matthew, fist bump to you. Flip front facing camera. I think this is right. Yeah, okay. How you doing, fist bump? Now I forget. Let me see. If I hold this up, does it look? Yeah, that looks right. Dave, fist bump, good to see you. Yeah, this looks right. Okay, it's not reversed. Excuse me. Okay, good. All right, because I was experimenting with the tracking. I've got this new gimbal, and it's great because it's like at face height. It's got a selfie stick built into it and cold shoe. It's the new Insta 360, you know, so. And what do you mean, my little my little lower thirds there? I see it's over there. Yeah, okay. Let's give somebody something to look at so they know who I am. But I mean, figure you would know from the title, but not everybody does. So, yeah, the new gimbal is really smooth, and I like it's got this selfie stick, right? So. Flashback, yeah. Can't see them on Prism. When you, Dave, what are you talking about? I think I missed a comment. Let me see if I can go back and. What is it? Oh, you can tap hearts in YouTube. Oh, I see. Oh, okay. I missed that comment. Sorry. Oh, really? I didn't know that. That's pretty interesting. So we're kind of doing like, okay. Yeah, I don't see him. I don't see him at all. I bet it's so new. I bet the API didn't support it yet. But if you know YouTube likes to have, as opposed to some other unnamed platforms, YouTube likes their live streamers to have like the best experience possible, so they'll keep using the platform and keep the quality of the content high. So Dave just sent me a photo. Let's see if I got it here. Still here, right? I mean, we didn't go anywhere. It said transmission has been aborted. I don't think that's the case. I don't like it when it does that. The old Prism used to, there you go. This is what Dave just sent me. Oh, wow. Guys are, oh, okay, wow, this is cool. Look at that. That's amazing. Yeah, shows we're still connected, so. What happened? Man, the noise is crazy. What happened when I left Prism to go get this photo? Did it freeze? Did it go dark? I mean, I saw my, I saw the Prism app, go in the background, so. Froze for 10 seconds, okay. Probably me. The app used to, I don't know, it may depend on the setting about displaying over the top of other apps. One thing I've always liked about Prism is I could swipe and I could actually leave the app, and it would shrink down into the corner of the screen. I could still see myself, and you guys could still hear me and interact, but I could do other things. Which means, like, remember before, Matthew, quite out loud, you sent me half a dozen or more photos, over time. Dave sent me a couple. Some of the friends, our friends will post in our line group, and, so, okay. That's interesting. I'm guessing that it's a new feature, and it will be updated in the API. Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, I can't see them on Prism. Yep, can't. Flashback to Periscope days. Wow, that's very interesting. Excuse me. I'm glad you could join us, Dave, and let me know about that. I know it's very late there. Yeah, because it's almost 1 o'clock in the morning. But I'm enjoying this gimbal. It's up in the air. There's a little bit shaky because of the table, but it ain't bad. It's not like, it doesn't seem like it's likely to fall over at all. It seems pretty stable. So I'm going to use it for a couple more weeks, and I'm going to do a kind of an engineer's review of this thing. See what it, I have a couple of really interesting observations about it. You know what? I got to put in at least my Commers, and if not, my earplugs. It is crazy out here today. My hearing has been getting more sensitive, and I don't know exactly why. Maybe because I have been cleaning my ears more. And I went to the ENT today, and there was quite a bit of wax near my eardrum on my right ear. Left ear seemed clean. He took that out. But boy, that really scares me. You know, they got that tube. It's about this long, and he holds it back kind of far. So, you know, the further back you hold something, the less, precise, the more it moves, the less precise it is. But I always like, when he's getting ready to do it, I hold my ear up and I put my head on the headrest and I press my head against the headrest like as hard as I can and just concentrate on not moving, especially if it hurts, to not jerk my head towards the thing, because all you need is poke through the eardrums. Yeah. I'll be selling my studio gear after that. But, oh, that's much better. Wow, that really cuts down the annoying frequencies, these cars driving by and stuff. That's just fine. Kind of turns down the treble in the upper mid-range. My daughter wears hers every single day to school. Helps her concentrate, and it's saving the high end of her hearing from being attenuated by loud noises. Now I'm drinking tonight yogurt, no alcohol, and no sugar added, see? So, it's got different kinds of bacteria. It's good for the gut, so just decided to drink some. Anyway, I want to thank all 325 of you who are now subscribed. I picked up like 6 more subscribers. I lost one, I don't know. I think some of the subscribers are coming from the Hey-Go Voyagers, because that app just went dead on Tuesday. It's unfortunate, but several of us could sort of see it coming, and that's the problem, Isn't that always true, though? You can see when somebody else is headed for disaster, but you could be driving full speed towards a cliff and go, nah, everything's cool. What, are you kidding? That's amazing. I can see things in other people, and then they can't see themselves, and we can't see ourselves, but that's just how it is. Anyway, I've decided that I'm going to take my time. I'm not going to do it like next week. I'm going to have to buy, I can't believe I'm saying this, I'm going to have to buy an iPhone. Mr. Android just said iPhone. There are some functions in certain apps, like the app that comes with this gimbal. That motorcycle just there. If I didn't have these Commers in, I couldn't even take it. They really are. They really do calm things down, make you feel calmer. By Flare Audio, by the way. But one of the things that I want to do is I want to shoot more content. I got, this is my fourth gimbal, so yeah. Well, I don't know why, but Jake, according to Jake, programming for Android is easy, but I don't know. There is a difference in manufacturers in the skin they put over. Samsung puts their own skin over Android, and so does my phone is Xiaomi. Xiaomi has what they call the MIUI, MIUI, but it's kind of it's not such a. I know, it's amazing. The Xiaomi skin is very close to native Android. I guess the most raw native Android is probably the Google phone, right? The Pixel, or what do they call it? Excuse me, sorry. Sorry I'm making snorting noises here, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm interested in experimenting, and trying different things. And I know you can get an anamorphic lens for the drone. So I am going to try to get an anamorphic lens for the drone. And there's one other thing too I want to come back to in a second. And you can get an anamorphic lens for the iPhone. And the interesting thing is, with the correct filming app, you can decode it on the fly. It's amazing. The video processing capabilities in iPhone is incredible. I mean, what I really would like is I'd like to see an Android skin on iPhone hardware. I think that would be a good match for me, because I like to be able to tweak things. But anyway, there's some software. They have plugins for all the various editors, and I'm not using Premiere Pro or Final Cut or any of that stuff, and I'm using Movavi because it's super easy. You can do a lot of stuff, but if you're going to do higher end things, for me it's DaVinci Resolve. That's what I use. And they have a plugin for DaVinci Resolve, and it allows you to select film packs, and they actually did 6K film grain scanning. I don't know how they did it. But what this does is this gives you, if you select a certain type of film, you shoot your video and you shoot it in a DCine, which is kind of a flat. It's just like raw format. Drop it into your editor, and then using the software, the plugin, you can emulate whatever kind of film that you would like it, to emulate, like a movie, and it uses the lookup tables and does color grading, but it also adds, hey Bernardo, how you doing, brother? Good to see you. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. How's everything, man? How you doing? It's good to see you. But it adds film grain to it. Bernardo, you probably know about this, and I just read about it today, and I already forgot what it's called, but I know how to find it. It's $125 US for that, but that looks. I mean, because I really like the cinematic look, and I film with my drone in RAW, and I add noise. Like if you look at this waterfall I just shot, there's actually an overlay. It's a color noise overlay that's designed to emulate film, and I shot it at 24 frames a second, with 1/50th of a shutter speed to try to get that cinematic blur, and it does. It blurs, but it still looks like video. Excuse me, but it kind of goes with my philosophy. We used to always say, don't make demos, make records. It doesn't take any longer to do it right, you know, just do it right. So that's kind of how I feel about making videos. If I'm going to take the time to make a video, of course, it's different if you're just in your studio talking about something. But I'm talking about if I'm trying to make some kind of a feature thing, you know, some aerial photography, something in nature. I like to color grade it and make it look like film. I mean, why make a demo? You can make a record. Problem is, it's just, got to spend so much money. Hey, Lewis Connolly. I know that surname, Connolly. Is that who I think it is? Excuse me, going undercover? Yeah, so how's it going? Hey, 你是谁？我没看到。哦，真的？什么？啊，等一下。Ann, yes, Ann.
Music.
Yeah, music. Yeah, yeah. 好久我没有弄那个表演在外面，好久没有。
对呀，好久没看到你了。
对呀，对呀，对呀。
有机会再聊。
Okay, hey, 谢谢。Okay, bye bye.
对。
Okay, thank you. Wow. That is a young lady from one of the restaurants down here, and I tell you what, it's dark, and there's light behind me, or behind her. She's looking at me. She's got a motorcycle helmet on, so. Really? Ann's first name is Lewis. Well, you know, I think that's cool. I think that's really cool. I knew a woman named Michael, and I met another woman named Alan, so it doesn't matter. All these names have meanings, you know, and if the meaning fits, I mean, I named my daughter Phoenix, so there you go. I think you said BF, boyfriend, or I think that's what you said. Anyway, but yeah, I haven't interacted with you in a long time, very long time actually. So anyway, I recognized her voice, but man, oh man, I couldn't even see her face. I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know who you are. And then she says, G-O-M and Girl. That's interesting. Could have been worse. Could have named one of your brothers Sean. You know, Sean Connolly. Because that's how they say Sean Connery in Chinese. It's like Connolly. So, okay, got you. That's all right. Don't worry about it. It's perfectly fine. I have my I got to do this because I turned down the font size a little bit because on the playback it was Tom and Jerry. Okay, got it. That's pretty cool, actually. Two brothers, yeah. I've seen Peter and Paul, Timothy and Titus. You know, Bible names. Pretty cool. So you don't see like Hannah and Elkanah too much, but things Hophni and Phineas, the chief priest's bad sons or anything like that, but I haven't seen those, but yeah. Sean, see, there you go. Okay, so you did it. You did do it. You did do it. Sean Connolly. Because they say like Connolly, for Sean Connery, Connolly. And it's funny, when I had my beard, I was in Boston, in Chinatown, and I walked into a store, and a guy asked me, are you Sean Connery in Chinese? I can't do Sean Connery, you know. So how's your Sean Connery, MJ? Not as good as my Morgan Freeman, but or Nicolas Cage. But man, oh man, that's hilarious. I think things like that are hilarious. Chinese names are funny too, because I knew a woman whose name actually resolved. When you wrote it, to the meaning was I want a son, because she was like the fifth girl. You know, I guess her dad had it. I should do a dramatic reading sometime, like Morgan Freeman. There's too many people that do it better than me, but my voice is shot. I was up all night last night working on a mix, and I only got about 4 or 5 hours sleep. And the first thing that happens with me is my voice goes south, and I just, I get hoarse, and I got like tension, and So anyway, I'm not going to be doing any singing. Impersonations, though, have always cracked me up, and I really like watching impersonations. I think everybody does. I sometimes binge watch on YouTube. There's a couple people that are just absolutely astonishing at how, and everybody does Nicolas Cage, right? But there's a couple of guys that do Nicolas Cage just so well. And Bill Hadley, his Alan Alda is uncanny. He could probably do a voiceover for Alan Alda. And I heard him doing Arnold Schwarzenegger on Conan O'Brien, and I spit my beer because he was, he just had some interaction, and Arnold said like 3 words to him, and he nailed it. It's pretty crazy. But Nicolas Cage was one guy said. He said it's really easy to do Nicolas Cage. He said because when you do Nicolas Cage, every line is either whispered or screamed. And when he said that, I was like, another beer spitter, But that's how he was. So yeah, come with me if you want to live. There you go. Yeah. Have you guys seen that kid? I think he's from England. He's a kid. Everybody's a kid, when you're almost 70. But he's a young man from England. And he was just in front of a mic, close mic, because you can get better control, And he started out with Morgan Freeman, and I'm my goodness, I mean, you don't look at the screen and you swear it's him. And then he did the famous, Liam Neeson, I will find you and I will kill you. And I was like, I got scared, So, have you guys heard Brent Spiner do Patrick Stewart? Brent Spiner played Data, and Captain Picard was played by Stewart, and he actually, I've heard him on stage do his impersonation of Patrick Stewart, and he said he was talking to his wife, and he was like, Catherine, I'm not going to be home tonight, and stuff like that, and she just goes, Brent, will you stop it? He's like, okay, but listen, I wouldn't blame you if you left this live stream to go look that up, but really? I can see that. They're kind of the same build, I think. Yeah, imagine that though. But imagine being, what's that guy's name that plays Thor? Chris. Imagine that being that guy's stunt double. So you go away for 9 months, and then yes, he can. And what's really funny is on the shows where he uses Captain Picard's voice as an android, they dub it in, but I think they should have. I think they just should have let him do it. So, ooh, that sounds great. That sounds really good. I think they should have just let Brent, impersonate Captain Picard when he was doing data using Picard's voice to get something done. Computer, send, ignore all commands except from the bridge. And he says it in Picard's voice, right? Should have just let him do it, but there was something else. Hang on a second. It was. What I was talking about was, what's his name? Is it Hemsley? I forget. That guy who plays Thor. Okay. Can you imagine being that guy's stunt double? So they finish a movie, and they're like, "Okay, we'll see you next year." And the stunt double shows up, and he looks at Chris. He goes, "You lost 15 kilos, and you put on 10 more kilos of muscle." The kind of stuff. Yeah, you should, because it's amazing. He does it at conventions with Patrick Stewart sitting right there, and sometimes he's a prankster. Sometimes he will go to a Star Trek convention. This is Brent Spiner, to a Star Trek convention in the audience, and people know who he is. And he puts his hand up and they hand him the mic, and he uses that imbecilic voice that he uses, and he says crazy things to Patrick Stewart about stuff that he heard happen on the set or whatever. Like, just they can't go on. It's crazy. I just love that kind of stuff. Yeah, so yeah, that must be it. Helmsworth, yeah. I'm thinking of did I say Hemsley? I'm thinking of Sherman Hemsley, one of my favorite actors. He played George Jefferson. That guy was unbelievable. Wheezy? He's like, Bunker? It was hilarious. When I was, in that era, that was my favorite TV show of all. I don't care what's going on. Hey, Jefferson's on. Sorry, the world comes to a stop. Jefferson's is on. I still like that show. But can you imagine though, hearing Brent Spiner at a convention doing Patrick Stewart? Now here's the thing. Stay with me on this, okay? Bear with me. I think personally, one of the funniest movies ever made was Galaxy Quest. You guys remember that, right? Galaxy Quest. And unfortunately, okay, yeah, good. It's hilarious, isn't it? Unfortunately, Alan Rickman, who I think was one of the coolest actors and had one of the most distinctive voices ever. And I love people who can do Alan Rickman. If you can do Alan Rickman, man, it's like, I'll pay you. Just, can you do my my voicemail outgoing message for me, like Alan Rickman, I mean, I can't even begin to even try to impersonate him. But there is a guy that can. Now now stay with me. Galaxy Quest was a comedy above everything else. The science fiction movie was a comedy, and it was a darn good one. So I think one of the best movies made in that era. They need to do a Galaxy Quest 2. The actors are a lot older. That's fine. And this is where they are now, and how the contact with that alien race and technology has changed everything for them, and all this other stuff. But Alan Rickman is no longer with us. So I think they should hire Benedict Cumberbatch to play Alan Rickman playing Dr. Lazarus. That's what I think they should do. It is, after all, a comedy. I think that it should be Benedict Cumberbatch being Alan Rickman. I would watch that. I would watch that in a heartbeat. Man, oh man, can you imagine that? Have you guys heard Benedict do Alan Rickman? Oh man. And the ones that can do, I guess the thing is, right, is I guess it's not so unusual for actors in a movie, because I mean, yeah, the movie's an hour and a half, 2 hours long, but it took them a year to make it. These people work together, 12, 15 hours a day, weeks at a time. They get to know each other. And so I guess it's not uncommon for people who work on movies together to be able to do impersonations of each other because they spend so much time. And I heard Mark Hamill, from Star Wars, Luke Skywalker, actually do Harrison Ford in front of Harrison Ford. He sounded just like him, and Harrison Ford sounded just like him. Amazing. It's another pretty distinctive voice, but can you imagine that? So it must be the worst thing in the world must be a comedian and have the person that you're impersonating in the audience. Yes. Yes. Lewis, you mean no way about Mark Hamill? Yeah. Look that up. Look up Mark Hamill does Harrison Ford, because he's got this kind of low voice, just like, "You'll be all right, kid." That's what he said to him or something on this set. "You'll be all right, kid." But the way it came out, you just, and even Harrison Ford was, and then there was another, it was a British TV show. I forget the guy's name, so I don't watch it. Benedict Cumberbatch was on this show with Harrison Ford, and they were talking about Star Wars, and Benedict Cumberbatch did the Chewbacca sound, whatever like that. I can't do it, and it sounded really just like it. And you should have seen Harrison Ford's face, when that sound came out of him. So, but when I'm in good form, I can do a couple, but Ann is good, or Louis Ann. I like Louis. Louis Ann is good. What's your Chinese name? That's what I want to know. I've always called you Ann. It's fine with me. And yeah, I'd like to, yeah. How do you spell your name in Chinese? That'd be interesting. You can just write it in English if you want to. I probably will know what the words are. But whoa. Nobody calls you this? Okay. Well, you have to admit, these comments are burned on the video, so subsequent people watching the video are going to see the name Louis. So nobody calls you Louis. Yeah, okay, I understand. Nobody calls me Mike. My Nai, or the more common Taiwanese pronunciation, Nene. Hope it's not that. I think you mean more like Nana, but my sister's husband's name is Mike. And I always was Mike when I was a kid. And the problem with being called Mike, right? Okay. I see. He can't say penguin correctly? Well, I gotta look that up. Hey, Bernardo, if you got a link, let me have that. But yeah, that I'd like to know what your what your Chinese name is. I'm getting eaten up by mosquitoes. It's foggy here. It was cold. They washed this table off before they closed up. The table was covered with water. Now it's starting to dry. But anyway, so anybody up for Galaxy Quest 2? Father's mother. Man, names. Okay. Cool. Yeah. A lot of times they'll just say nah like that. I know what you mean. Yeah. My daughters, because it's mommy's side of the family, her grandparents are Po Po and Gong Gong. Yeah, I know what you meant. Thank you. Po Po, Gong Gong, that's what they call themselves. Oh boy. Oh, that sounds nice though. Hope it was sunny. It's firefly season here now. They're all out. I haven't seen any yet, but everybody's been saying go down to South Taiwan, right? And who knows? Maybe we can get the financing right. Where I used to live in the northern part of Hukou, actually just over the line in Yangmei and in Taoyuan County, it's kind of out in the woods, and I'd ride my bike all in the summer, and I saw lots of fireflies. So I should just take my family up there because it's dark. I remember. My friend Tony, Tony Lin, Taiwanese friend, his wife is from there too. In fact, she's there now. She spends more time there doing business than in Taiwan. So, stink bugs, yeah. I remember those. I used to live in Virginia too. I remember those. Man, oh man, stink bugs. Oh man. We got a new venture going, by the way. I just thought I'd put this out there. You guys know how to get in contact with me. But Tony and I are doing a joint venture where we're buying plastic scrap, mostly from the United States. And I put up a small, very simple, direct to the point, 2-page website. One page has the stuff we're looking to buy, which is being updated. There's just a couple things on there now. But as time goes on, I'm going to add more things. And the other page is the contact page. But if any of you guys know companies that sell, it's one thing, to call people up and talk to them when you want them to buy your stuff. When you call people up and you want to buy their stuff, it changes everything. And so we have an 800 number or an 888 number for people to be able to call us to sell us stuff. But it's Al Casting, and that's al-casting.co. That's the company, Al Casting, industrial company. al-casting, because that's how his company name is written in English in Taiwan, al-casting. It's not a .com, it's a .co for company, and or corporation actually. And so, if you guys know any companies that sell plastic scrap and we end up buying it, we'll give you a commission. Can't beat that. Yeah, there's always little things going on. See, what I learned from Japanese manufacturing practices is that you can't, or you shouldn't at least, put okay. Yeah, too much plastic. Yeah, it's everywhere. A lot of it they want is like, what we want is regrind, but like from the automotive industry, they take all the plastic, like all the headlights, and they, like the clear, they'll grind them up, and then the red, they grind that up, and then they take all the gray plastic out of the car, the black plastic, and they grind it all up into pieces. We recycle it, and we turn it into new material to be manufactured again. No, I didn't. But man, oh man, yeah. Oh, those, yeah. and some of those chemicals are volatile, I understand. And man, that could be, oh boy, that's a nice environmental disaster. As if we weren't ingesting enough plastic. You know. Man dominates man to his injury. Boy, oh boy. Humans clearly cannot rule themselves. Oh boy. Yeah. Not like it's, you know, an important waterway that lots of people use and depend on. My goodness. All the major rivers apparently have problems, but February, yeah, I did not hear about that. We get the big news, but in Taiwan, you know, all the news outlets are just repeating whatever China says. Oh man, I'll bet. So, you know, China passes gas and it's on the news. And everybody's talking about war, sorry, the mosquito. And there's going to be a war, it's imminent. Don't underestimate China's timeline or their ability. No. In the meantime, they open up direct flights. I'm just telling you guys, they're doing business. Remember the movie The Patriot? I never saw the whole movie, but there was a line that I will never forget that I did hear when one of the British administrators, and I recently have been reading quite a bit about the Revolutionary War, wanted to understand more about it, and it wasn't. Apparently the truth is not exactly how it's been portrayed, but pretty much the British were quite tolerant. Oh, okay. I see. So they set the trains on fire to burn it off. Okay, well that's kind of what you have to do sometimes if there's a chemical spill. And refineries, they always have that flame going because it's poisonous gas. They want to burn it off. Unless they can recover it. But, you know, like right up to the first point where there was a shot fired, I mean, when the British soldiers were quartering in a particular town, I mean, they went to the tavern and they paid their bills, you know, they weren't, you know, they were civilized. But the, excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm thinking about too many things. Are the are the chemicals like on the surface of the water? Are they burning like that? You know, like that? You know what I mean? Is it material floating on the surface of the river that's burning, or are they just burning it like on the rail cars that are on the bank? So. Oh man, that last comment, I got to see that one more time. Oops, sorry, wrong thing, sorry. Oh, upwind and Florida's, okay, yeah. Oh man, that's, wow, that's, my goodness. Wow. That doesn't sound good. Anyway, I was trying to make a point about something. And I usually have a very good train of thought and consciousness, but it just shows how absolutely tired that I am. Yeah, probably so. One of the worst. Well, I was in Black Dragon Province in China 2 weeks before that big benzene spill, and it went up into Russia. Yeah, well, that would, yeah. I mean, that's, you know, you burn dung and it smells like crap. I mean, it's burning it, you know, consumes it, but in the process, it basically releases it. That can be a big problem. There was some point that I wanted to make, and I'm just so tired, guys. I've been out of it. I've been working on this album for Paul Clark, and it's almost done. I sent him a mix tonight of the second to last song of the album, and then I got one more song to work on, and it's pretty much finished. I just was waiting for him to do another guitar track on it, and like a rhythm track, and he sent that to me. Oh, excuse me. Sent that to me 2 days ago. See, how many times you guys see me yawn on camera? Almost never. So I'm just basically floating along from topic to topic and not tying anything together. And it's actually not a bad night, just the mosquitoes, you know. I'm looking forward to doing a little more drone flying when it clears back up. But anyway, I have a new tune, and I haven't told anybody about it except Dave, because I run pretty much everything I do by Dave. But I started a thumbnail of it, just what we call a pre-production. What you do is you just run the recorder and you just play some stuff and you listen back to it and go, is this going to work? Oh, how about if I change this chord? Oh, that works. And you don't try to play it perfectly. You don't try to do a real take. You're just doing pre-production to see. And everybody does that. All professionals do that. And a lot of these bootleg records from the old days, like from The Who, there's a bootleg record called The Genius of Pete Townsend, and all it is somebody got Pete Townsend's tapes off his home recorder. And he is a genius, but there's versions of Won't Get Fooled Again and Behind Blue Eyes and all these big songs that are done like in his bedroom. But I don't want to tell you anything about it except it's okay. I'll remember that. This is going to be the funniest song I've ever written. It's actually funny. It's comical. And I'm going to talk to CJ Jewell, who's basically dominating the charts. It's amazing how much airplay that guy's getting. He lives in Taiwan, and he's a friend of mine. We collaborate on stuff, and so I'm going to get him to do the video for me. But you're not going to believe it. And so I've done the pre-production, and I know what I want to do now. So I'm gonna hit it. And when I get done with this last tune for Paul Clark, I got to put them all together in a single master to do the master file for the CD replication. That's easy. That's a couple hours. Once I get all of that done, then I can blast out this tune. But I got to get some sleep because I can't sing worth a flip when I don't have my sleep. So, yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm going to release it on, all the usual Spotify and, Apple, YouTube, everywhere. Just it's going to be everywhere, including TikTok, which is actually relevant to the discussion. On my PC at home, and plus I've been doing all this production work. I haven't really done much video work, but I looked through my archive and I have enough material for about 6, maybe 5 or so shorts based on industrial processes. Okay, I will. Yeah, it's 12:41. I usually go to sleep after 2. If you are a TikTok addict, then you're going to love my new song. And I think you're still in our line group, unless you changed your phone or left it, and I don't know it, but you're still listed as a member. So you're welcome to contact me and ask me about the song, and I'll tell you about it, but I don't want to tell it on the live stream. I just want to do it and release it. But that's what I'm going to do. Excuse me. I might go over to 7-Eleven and get a snack, go back home, fire up the TV, and watch like Curiosity Stream. There's a really interesting series I'm watching called The Sea Hunters, and it's about animals and how they work together. And it turns out that all over the world, humpback whales and orcas are bitter rivals, but in a fjord in Finland, they've learned to tolerate each other and even assist each other. And I saw the photography is, I don't know how they film these things. These people are just amazing. But catching the anchovies and pushing them up against, okay, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll send you a message from the Line app and see if you get it. The humpback whales are a lot larger than orcas, and they push the anchovies up against like the bank, and the orcas are behind the line of the whales to keeping stragglers, so they just kind of, it's like almost like a bait ball, but it's in a line up against the shore, and the whales just open their mouth and just they take massive amounts in. And then when the whales are done, they stay there. They're not eating anymore, but they're herding the anchovies so the orca can come in, because the orcas aren't filter feeders. They have teeth and they have to, it takes them longer. But there really isn't any reason for it really is. It's on Curiosity Stream. And I subscribed to it. It was ridiculously cheap, like $11 for the whole year, and I got Da Vinci Kids and another channel, and they also have courses. It's pretty interesting, and they have like science, like the series on the moon landings. They have another one on electricity. They got one on sound. The guy who started PRS Guitars talks about manufacturing guitars and sound, and so it's just a wide range of things. But there isn't any reason for the humpback whales to stay around. So to keep the bait up against the bank so the orcas can eat, except there's another scenario where the orcas help the humpback whales when the humpback whales are trying to feed off the spillage of nets from fishing. So, I mean, this was me watching that show. I mean, it's really pretty amazing. I would much rather watch that than any TV show. I do have one of those, TV boxes, and I get TV shows from the United States. But I gotta tell you, I'm coming up on 19 and a half years I've been living in Taiwan. And I guess 20 years if you count the fact that I had an apartment before I actually came here for residence. But anyway, the point is that it's almost 20 years. I watch American TV, and it's two things. It's car insurance and drugs. They always got some new problem and some medication, and and then there's somebody at the end of the thanks. Somebody at the end of the ad where they sped up the recording 10 times to tell you that the side effects are massive. It can cause spontaneous abortion and instantaneous death and all this other stuff. And all because of numbers. Like the worst ones in the world. Dr. Sears said this. Statins are the most successful group of medicines, and they have no use, and they kill people because it's about cholesterol numbers, but cholesterol numbers don't matter. We know that. But doctors always want you to check them. They don't matter. And it's not about what you eat, it's about what your body produces. It's crazy. And I know this only because of Dr. Sears. But so he takes his patients off of statins right away because it kills people. And if I watch like the History Channel has a couple of good shows on it. But the most revealing thing to me, I learned more about culture and history from watching the ads in the United States than I ever learned about watching the show on the History Channel. I can't believe these ads. And another thing I noticed was whatever the ad's for, blah, 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 right from your phone, blah, 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 on your phone, blah, blah, blah. It's like, that's what it is. Sit on your ass on the sofa and buy a new car, buy a new house. You know, it's like, I don't know. Make money, I guess. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. Doctors here never suggest I check that. They eat fero, they eat fatty pork here because they know that you need fat, and fat helps you lose weight and it provides energy. And anyway, so yeah, everything. It's like you know, finance this, buy a boat, book your next vacation. You know, all from your phone on your sofa. It's like, it's crazy. It's like, man, oh man, ordering whatever. So, wow. Really, yep, it is. It's all about money. When people say it's all about money, it's because it is. It's all about money. So I want to ask you guys this question. It's a big topic. What do you guys think about this? Now, everybody's heard of the Bud Light controversy, right? Everybody knows about this. What do you guys think about this? And yeah, so for those of you who don't know, Bud Light has a new spokesperson. Wow. That was like a cafe racer, super loud. And the new spokesperson is someone named Dana Mulvaney, and people don't like Dana that much. Yes, it is. There's a channel called Awaken with JP. There's a guy named JP Sears. And JP Sears is he's a physically fit guy. He's pretty cool. He's pretty smart, made a lot of money, you know, on his own. Became a YouTube star, did pretty well. It was interesting to watch his transformation because when you first were watching Awaken with JP, you might think that he's woke, if you want to use this term, right? And he had a remarkable transformation where he used to say things that were pretty left-leaning, but then he became right-leaning. It's really funny. But I was watching his reaction to this whole Bud Light thing. And if you get a chance to watch JP, he explained something, and now the whole thing makes sense. Why would a company do this? They're down $6 billion. They're not going to lose any money. They're not. They could shut down Bud Light completely. Here's why. What I didn't know was JP explained that the Human Rights Commission is the one that's pushing this agenda. Now everybody knows what it is. I'm not going to mention specifics because we know what we're talking about. So the HRC is pushing this agenda, and they're aligned with BlackRock and at least one other massive investment corporation. And all these corporations are involved in publicly traded companies. And so they give a mandate to a company, a big company: you will push this narrative, or we cut off your funding, we cut off your investment, and we devalue your stock. And they do things that I don't understand because I'm not in that business. I just know that anything like that, it's all interconnected. But what they do is the reverse is true. If they push the narrative and they lose money due to boycotts or pushback, then these companies make up the difference. And it's interesting how JP was mentioning that. Now he did say though that, you know, like a couple of days ago it was $4 billion. He did mention that that is a staggering amount of money, and they might not get all of that back, but they're getting basically subsidized. And some of these companies that do these illogical campaigns that would tend to indicate that they don't know their client base, or they don't care if they alienate their client base. That's why, because it doesn't matter, because they still make money. But what it hurts is, it hurts the people in between. There are completely innocent people, have nothing to do with this. The people that distribute this beer. They go get it from the warehouse, they put it in a truck, and they drive it to the stores, right? So, yeah, well, that is a scientific impossibility for imperfect humans, is that's what they do. Because humans jockey for power, and that's how you do it. Money and politics, they're inseparable, because it's power. Yeah. Probably did. Yeah. Yeah. It takes, you know, a lot to say no, knowing that you're going to take a financial hit. But fortunately, like for me, for what I do, you know, I'm not in any, I don't own any publicly traded company. Everything that my wife does is, you know, private ownership. But it's like that with anything else. You know, if you're investors, they can tell you what to do, and that's basically what it is. And these companies that, you know, like the one company I mentioned, they're involved with so many companies. Ultimately, I don't think it will. The other thing too is the public collectively has a short memory. You know, people will shoot up a couple cases with machine guns, and 3 or 4 weeks from now, some governmental official will arrange for some disaster to happen, and that'll take the heat off. Something will happen. Some announcement or whatever. Project Blue Beam. Oh, look, it's Christ. Or is it? Oh, it's UFO. Sorry, I made a mistake. Yeah, I didn't know which program we were going to run. The man who knew too much. If you guys knew what I knew, what I know. I've been having these really interesting discussions with ChatGTP about a couple of topics, because I'm really interested in physics. And I was talking about, you know, in mathematical formulas. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I know. Exactly. The speed of light is a constant. That's why in mathematical formulas it's written as the letter c, for, you know, it's a constant, like E equals mc squared, right? The c is light. I was talking to a ChatGTP about some studies showed that some scientists believe that the speed of light is actually slowing down, and it's supposed to be constant. Whether, you know, a beam of light is shining, and it doesn't matter if you're accelerating towards it or decelerating away from it. There is a color shift, but the light speed itself remains constant. And 2 studies, and they were both from Australia, by the way, coincidentally, seemed to indicate that light was traveling slower than it should have been traveling from certain celestial objects. And if that's the case, then that would change our perception of time. And it's really interesting how more and more people say that they feel like time is going so fast now, more than it did 10 years ago or 20 years ago. And if you're really old like me, you can remember 40 and 50 years ago. It doesn't, but the redshift does. The redshift does. But even though the universe is expanding, the speed of light itself should remain constant. The redshift tells you whether an object is moving away from you, and then it shifts blue if it's coming towards you, basically. It's Doppler, okay, just like sound. Same thing, exact same thing, just different wavelength. So I was talking to ChatGTP about that, and it totally dismissed the theory that light speed is slowing down, but I pointed out if it was slowing down, then it would make the passage of time be perceived different by humans. And because, like, you look at, we're in 2023. I don't even remember 2022. Well, what did I do? I mean, it's just like that. And it's April. Okay, so it's a quarter of the way through. It is complicated. But then I was talking about electrogravitics, and because I have a copy of Harold Wallace's original patent for an electrically created counterberry force that cancels gravity. And I've looked at the machine, and I've read everything that Nikola Tesla has written. I've read all of it. And of course, Tesla had the understanding of a 19th century physicist. He didn't understand RF waves and some of that stuff. And I don't know much about CERN, to be honest with you. Okay, I'll make a study project on that for you if you want. But I mean, particle accelerators are pretty cool things because you can make states of matter that only exist, for, nanoseconds of a nanosecond. But you can create states of matter and even new isotopes. Some of them can be dangerous, but some of them could be useful. But I think Wallace's patent works. But there's something else too. We now have greater dielectric capabilities. Like that is a material that can stand off high voltage, to keep it from arcing. Like when you wrap electrical tape around a wire, that's to prevent the electricity from coming through the tape, right? But if the electrical potential is high enough, it'll burn through the tape. And that's called a dielectric material. That's how you make capacitors. And in the 1950s, they were doing electrogravitics because Jane's Defense Weekly, and I remember there's an article in the March 1956 article on, they said that there was a possibility that the U.S. Air Force would develop a Mach 3, that's 3 times the speed of sound, fighter saucer by the end of the year, based on electrogravitics, and that was in the 50s. And so imagine in the 21st century, but it just so happens that my first wife's uncle was director of operations at Lockheed Martin, so I asked him, "You guys got electrogravitics program?" He goes, "Yeah." It's like, what do you expect? I knew they did. And then I said, "Hey, you made any interesting breakthroughs recently?" And he said, "Oh yeah, we've had some amazing breakthroughs." And I had mentioned it because he called to talk to my wife about something. I mentioned to him while she was coming to the phone, I mentioned to him that I want to ask him questions, but if you can't answer them, I understand. So I mentioned the Jane's Weekly, Defense Weekly article. I said, well, you know, in the 1950s, they said that the United States Air Force would have a Mach 3 fighter saucer like the same year. I mean, how close are you to achieving that? And then he said, well, I don't have much time to talk now. I really need to talk to your wife. But thanks for the discussion. So I take that as a yes. So if you go to Area 51 and Groom Lake and, you know, all those places out there, there's nothing extraterrestrial at all. It's all terrestrial vehicles. The Phoenix Lights, the TR-3B, TR-3-B, that's patented. It's a toroidal assembly with pressurized mercury spinning at high speed, and it reduces the weight of the aircraft by 90%. So they just use these little tiny hydrogen peroxide jets to power it, and it can fly outside the Earth's atmosphere. So pretty cool stuff. But sometimes you can get in trouble. What we're going to have to do is, when the civilization completely collapses, we're going to have to rely on things like that, and you know, look up an earth battery, because if you have two dissimilar types of metal, if you have like a USB cable and a wire stripper and two metal spikes out of different metals, you can pound them in the earth and charge your phone, just stuff like that. Pretty useful things, you know. But Dr. Moray, I think he was from Ohio, actually, from your state, Matthew, I think. He expanded on some of Tesla's work, and he figured out the etheric frequency, and because, you know, it's very obvious that there's energy all around us. We just don't know how to tap into it, or do we? But that's the secret. And Dr. Moray built a radio, and it had an antenna on it, but the antenna wasn't for receiving radio waves. The antenna was for receiving power. And he ran it for over 100 hours. He just let scientists just look at it. It was just sitting on a table, and they pick it up and move it, do whatever they want. And they all realized there's no battery. It's not connected to a power source. Why is it running? So, but that stuff gets swept under the carpet. Always somebody will come along. There's a guy in New Hampshire named Klein, and he had a car that ran on water, and it used electrolysis. Hey, Kenrod, fist bump. And he ran a car on electrolysis, and never heard from him again. Gone. Yeah, there was one guy I saw on YouTube University, right? One guy actually went to the store and got like one of those segmented planters that you put like tomato plants in, you know, as seedlings, and then you take them out and plant them. And he put a bunch of different types of earth material in there and did experiments, and he ran them in series. He just basically made a multi-cell battery out of that, and he was getting a couple volts out of it. But there's also a science that has to do with treatment of certain diseases, in particular cancer, because cancer is something of an electrical issue. But supposedly, if you take your shoes and socks off and then you walk on the bare dirt and you make this kind of galvanic contact with the earth, that causes some kind of electrical it would be some kind of electrical flow between you and the earth that would balance you if you're out of balance. I thought that was pretty interesting. Because I always felt better, like when I'm camping or something. Or I used to like to just, living in New Hampshire, I used to like to just take my shoes off and stick my feet in the creek, you know? Or I'd go gold panning and barefoot, you know? it just always seemed to feel better. Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool stuff. I knew a guy from New York. He was a friend of mine. I knew him personally. And he got cancer. And he took this stuff. I don't even want to mention what it is. But it was invented by a mechanical engineer in the 30s. And it's based on high school biology. The oxygen reduction ladder. See, the problem with cancer is the more aerobic a cell is, the more active it is, and then it gets less aerobic, then it becomes anaerobic. When it's anaerobic, it's basically dead, and you know, the body gets rid of it. But a cancer cell goes down on the oxygen reduction ladder to what they call the CP, the critical point. It's so low that it infects other cells and tries to get them to not function too. But it's still high enough on the ladder that the body's defenses can't see it and they won't attack it. So that's why it's called the critical point. So this mechanical engineer asked doctors and biologists, what would it take to alter the cell's position on the oxygen reduction ladder? Can you take some kind of chemical that would push it back up and make it more aerobic? And the answer was yes, but they're toxic. That makes sense. He said, okay, well, what about, you know, pushing them down off the oxygen reduction ladder so the body can attack them? And the answer he got was, that's easy. And so he commissioned the formulation of this stuff, and even the FDA, in trying to debunk it, even the FDA's own studies showed that it was significantly more effective than chemotherapy, which is like bullet surgery. You know, it's just, let's just dose the entire body with poison. The theory being that the weaker cells will die, but the stronger cells can withstand it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So that was interesting. And he took this stuff, and he took it for 6 weeks, and he said that he had a bowel movement 6 weeks later that consisted of material that looked like egg whites. It was apparently cell protoplasm. And they went back to the doctor and they said, well, we don't know what you've done, but you don't have cancer anymore. And I was like, ooh, that's good to know. It's really interesting. And, well, the stuff was called Cancel, actually. It's also known as Entaleb, and of course it's banned in the US, and you can buy it from Mexico, and he bought it from a place in Canada. And there used to be an underground group of people that would continuously make this stuff, and they would sell it at like no profit, just to cure people. Yep. Ew, but hey, I think it beats having cancer. Beats dying from cancer. Let me see, I'm gonna sit in the toilet, and it's gonna be really weird. I don't have to look at it. I can just flush it when I'm done, or I can go die, and maybe even it hurts bad. So, there you go. Of course, right. But all the traditional, you know, therapies that are just designed to keep you sick, because I mean, I still can't believe that a lot of how that disease is treated is some radiologist looking at an image for dots and stuff, and if they miss the dots, we'll catch it next time because it'll be bigger. That's not how you do it. So you push them off the oxygen reduction ladder, and you know, Dr. Atkins, the diet guy, everybody thought he was crazy. That guy's been maligned so bad, but he actually lost his medical license because he cured a woman from cancer because he figured out that a highly oxygenated environment is toxic to cancer. So he gave the woman hyperbaric oxygen treatment. He put her in an HBOT chamber every day. Usually only takes an hour a day, and it killed the cancer. And he lost his medical license because it's not an approved treatment. Dr. Sears talked about that too in one of his newsletters. That's how I know that. I read the story in one of Dr. Sears' newsletters. And when I went to his Institute for Anti-Aging, I realized how far ahead this guy was. I mean, it's like being on the Starship Enterprise. Crazy. So anyway, you know, I've been yakking for an hour and 21 minutes. I'm going to go to 7-Eleven and get a snack. I'm going to go back home and watch Curiosity stream. And I'm going to watch my live stream later. And I'm going to figure out what I was going at for when I mentioned the Revolutionary War. There was something about... Oh, I remember now. Ah, it's all right. It's recorded, so nothing important, just me doing what I usually do. The line from the movie The Patriot that really struck me was one of the British officers. Yeah. Thank you. I hope so too. He said that when this business is over. Oh, okay. Well, hopefully you'll get a head chef from Taiwan and you'll have some good stuff. They got these hot dogs with cheese, 3 kinds of cheese embedded inside the hot dogs. They're pretty darn good. The line from the movie was, as soon as this business is over, what he meant is the war. He said, we're going back to trading with these people. We're going to reestablish trade. So he was right. I mean, that was the whole thing. It was about taxes, and I mean, to talk about where the United States is now, the Boston Tea Party was over a 3% tax, guys. 3%. So how much do people pay now? And they just give up, right? This business with China and Taiwan, they're going to get back to trade. It's about money, and the Chinese Communist Party cannot afford to. Everybody's on board as long as they're making money. They put up with communism, they put up with the police state, they put up with the surveillance state, they put up with everything because they think they're prospering. The minute they don't, you've never seen anybody throw down like mad Chinese. When they get mad, they don't care about anything. And it's coming real soon, so don't worry about what's going on here in Taiwan. I think it's going to be over before it starts. I really don't think, I mean, like I said, they reopened the direct flights. And so you don't open direct flights where people from your country can go to another country that you're planning on invading. That doesn't make any sense. So, yeah. Yeah. Well, just remember, whatever you hear that comes out of Beijing is for the domestic audience. You know, they're going like this. They're going, okay, we're getting ready to invade. Okay, we're going to go in now. Okay, it's any day now. Right. Because they're trying to look tough. And quite frankly, they painted themselves into a corner. Oh yeah, I read about that. Well, a lot of the chip making technology is, not a lot of it, but some of it is going to the United States. Even if the Chinese, let's just say the Chinese walked into Taiwan and Taiwan just says, okay, fine, whatever, we give up, take over. They don't know how to run these chip foundries. There's one right down the street, right here, chip pond. I shot it with my drone. I mean, I photographed it with my drone. And it's like, they're all over the place. I know American guys that come here, engineers, to work on this stuff, and the stories they tell me about the atmosphere inside the wafer spinner and how the tolerances are so close that a close pass can take like individual atoms and certainly molecules and strip them off, and it's like I'm just like, you gotta be kidding me, man. Chinese can't do that. And China is banned from having 5-axis CNC machining capability, because with a 5-axis CNC machine, you can make nuclear weapons. So they're not allowed to have them. Nobody will ship them to them. But we have here in Taiwan 5-axis CNC machining all the time. I mean, that's what we do. So Taiwan's on a different tier, a different list. And there are over 1 million Taiwanese living in China. They all have businesses, and if it wasn't for the Taiwanese that went there and showed them how to do manufacturing, they would still be in the 1950s. Because I've been to China. Every time I went there, it was to go to some factory. And I went to these factories that were owned by the communist era, and there wasn't a window that wasn't broken in the whole thing. And they're using, I mean, I walked in there and I said, you know, this thing looks like, this lathe looks like it was turning drive shafts for submarines for World War II or something. I mean, come on. I was like, what are you doing? But in a lot of ways, they're way behind. They got there's always an old city and a new city. The new city is where they've rebuilt with new money. But the old city really represents where they were. It's funny how volumes have been written, and a lot of foreigners, we talk about this, how China at one time was the most advanced country, you know, with paper and writing and machines like, you know, earthquake detection and all kinds of amazing things. And then they basically just stagnated. And then Japan overtook them, and Japan took technology from the West. But I mean, imagine being a nation or a people, whatever you want to call them, that invented gunpowder, and then the firecracker, but never invented a gun. Strange. Outsiders invented that, and then the Chinese went, oh yeah, I guess you could, yeah, I guess you could do that, yeah. So pretty funny. All right, guys, time to go. Fist bump. MJ loves all you guys, and oh, that's interesting. Oh, I got something on my screen. I wonder what that was. Because I put my hand there, I was like, whoa, what's that? All right, you guys take care. Thanks, Ken. And you don't look a day older. Bye-bye. 再见. 晚安. And we'll see you next time. Have a good evening, you guys. Signing off. Here comes the big finger like Periscope. Remember that? Bye-bye. That was great. Have a good night.